Now we're going to discover how a scrolling view actually works. It's very common to have a large amount of data that we want to display on the iPhone or the iPad, but there's no way that we can fit all of it at the same time on the screen. And that's one of the functionalities of UI Scroll View. The UI Scroll View class adds scrolling without your having to do any work, and in this case, you use it for horizontal scrolling. The methods declared by the UI Scroll View delegate protocol allow the adopting delegate to respond to messages from the UI Scroll View class. The UI Scroll View class provides support for displaying content that's larger than the size of the app's window. The idea is that users can swipe to scroll within that content and zoom in or out of portions of the content by pinching and unpinching. Now, a UI Scroll View object, which we call a scroll view or scrolling view, is a view with an origin point that is adjustable over the content view. So what happens is that UI Scroll View clips the content to the frame, which usually coincides with that of the app's main window. The scroll view tracks the movements of fingers and adjusts the origin accordingly. The view that's showing through the scroll view draws that portion of itself based on the new origin, which is pinned to an offset in the content view. The scroll view itself does no drawing unless you include the displaying of those vertical and horizontal scrollers, but you can turn them off if you want. Let's take a look again at the code we will be typing in a few minutes. I want to give you a preview of it now. So what we're going to do is something that makes sense if we want to customize an app after it's launched, immediately after launch. So we do it in the application did finish launching with options. Apple conveniently left a comment down by the third line where it says override point for customization after application launch. Of course, this is where we want to put our scroll view. So we're using UI Scroll View, and the code sets the paging enabled property for scroll view, which is an instance of UI Scroll View. It sets it to yes, so that paging is enabled. And what that means is the scroll view stops on multiples of the view bounds, which we call pages. So you can actually see it going across, stopping at certain points as you swipe. Next, the code sets the content size property, which is the size of the content view. It does that by using the scrolling frame size and k number of pages, which is a constant we set to 2 back in the constants.h file. The scroll view must know the size of the content view so that the scroll view knows when to stop scrolling. It's an important property in UI Scroll View. And what it is, content size is the width and height of your content. It's a CG size, a property of UI Scroll View. If you had an image that's 500 by 500, it would not fit on the iPhone screen. So you'd set your content size to 500, 500. If you want to add more scrollable space at the bottom or at the top, you can set the property content_inset.top and content_inset.bottom. So you can add some extra space without changing the content size. These insets are useful if you have a UI navigation bar or a UI toolbar, like the Photos app. Now, every UI Scroll View has a scroll indicator. It's visible by default to give an indication of how far in the content you are when you're scrolling. You can change where the indicator starts using the scroll indicator insets.top, just like the content insets. But we can also hide the scroll indicators, and we use shows horizontal scroll indicator and shows vertical scroll indicator, both set to no. So the code shuts off the horizontal and vertical scroll indicators. Also, it shuts off scrolling to the top. Now, after making scroll view a delegate, the code adds CG_rect, which are rectangle structures, to draw the scroll view frames for the two views. And then you add each view as a subview of the scroll view. And that's where we have our _main view controller and our photo view controller frames. Now, in order to use UI Scroll View, what we need is the UI view that we want to display and the content size of this UI view. But first, we're going to need to create a subclass of UI view controller that will do the heavy lifting of controlling that second view, which is the photo view controller.